Hi everyone, I'm John Poker Chip Friedberg, and we're here with a very special episode of Stacking Chips. We're here tonight at the Pocket5s.com party, their World Series party. The main event starts tomorrow, so I thought, what better place than to come out to the Pocket 5s party and talk to some of the biggest names in online poker who are out here for the main event. And I'm going to have a few of these guys on the show talk about their strategy, etc., etc. But I thought we'd start out with having none other than the two founders of Pocket5s.com, Mr. Adam Small and Cal Spears. Adam, Cal, how's it going, man? First of all, thanks a lot for having me at the party here. I'm having a great time. You guys have done such an amazing job at bringing all the online players together into your forums and your ranking systems, and congratulations on all the success you've had. You guys have really created something special. So tell us a little bit about your experience over the last 2 years, where you came up with the idea, how it came along, and sort of how things have progressed.
Yeah, well, we started the site in January of 2005. It's on the basic idea that there's something really special going on with online poker, and that it's just not getting the publicity that it deserves. There's guys that are winning multiple tournaments on multiple sites. There's legitimate internet players who just don't live in Vegas or don't live in big cities. They don't get the coverage that people get to play in the live tournaments. And we thought there was really something going on here, and we could create a site that ranked these players and gave them the exposure that they needed, and that there was an audience that would care about this kind of thing. And it's worked, and here we are 2.5 years later at our 3rd annual Pocket 5s party, and we got the biggest celebrities in online poker here. Like, these guys just absolutely kill online tournaments, and now, they've moved into killing the live tournaments. And it's really an incredible thing to have watched it grow to this point.
Well, one thing I always talk about is how, in my opinion, the best online players are as good and better as many of the best live game players, live poker players. And they're really coming out and proving themselves. I mean, we had Mr. Smokey come out and win a bracelet this year. I mean, just as one person, for example, but the skill level of the online players has grown so high that these guys, I think, have so much more experience than a lot of the big names in poker that you see on television, because they play so many more hands. They've been in the same situation so many more times because they play so many tables simultaneously. It's really amazing. So Adam, you've been the chief editor of Pocket 5s. What's been your experience so far?
Yeah, it's been really an incredible ride up to this point. I mean, we just got so many friends, and all these people in this room are our friends, and that's part of the great part about it, is that we look around and everybody wants to say hi, and they want to say how much they love Pocket 5s and how much they appreciate what we do. And I mean, that drives me every single day to want to make the site better and better, and to make everybody want to feel like they're a part of things and have a role in it all. Like what you were saying about the online players getting better than the live players, I mean, we witness it, of course, firsthand because we're around it so much. And it's really true, and I think what a lot of people don't think about is everyone talks about how the online players see more hands because they play 5 tables at a time or 10 tables at a time, and they can get so much experience. But what they don't think about, like, as kind of an effect of that, is that you have a situation that you never could have had in the past, where people around the age of 21, 22 years old, it just wouldn't have been possible playing live poker for them to have ever seen millions of poker hands. They would have had to play every minute of their life to get to that point. And people around 21, 22 years old, their minds are able to just stay completely focused all the time on poker. Like those of us, even just being in my late 20s, I mean, it's just so hard to think about one thing all the time. But at that age, you can really just get focused and stay just make such a strong game. And some of these players, I mean, Mr. Smokey 1 might be the best tournament player in the world. He's certainly probably one of the best 20 or so tournament players in the world. And I mean, it just goes to show a guy like that, with just that much focus and that much ability and that much experience, can come out and do incredible things in poker. And that's what we're all about. It's just following those people in their progress and reporting on them and giving them the props they deserve.
All right, well, congrats again on the amazing site that you guys have created and the community that you've really brought together. And like I said, you guys have done a great job, and thanks a lot for having us here at the party. I'm actually going to get going now so I can interview some of the players there, some of the big names. We got Hamby, the Waco kid. We got Ari Angle, Bodog Ari, You got Chris Savage. We got all the big names here tonight. So
standing right here, I can see about 20 ranked players. So.
All right, so the first guy we're going to talk to tonight is online BR Savage. He's been tearing up the tables online for about 4 years. He's also had a lot of live success, but I will say that you know, of all the online players, I think Mr. BR Savage and I are probably the two oldest ones out there. So I always talk about the online players being the young guys. Not this man. He's pretty old. I'm just kidding, buddy. Anyway, this is Chris Savage. Chris, as I said, plays under the name BR Savage. And Chris, how's the World Series going for you so far?
Well, I'm actually, I have twin 2-year-olds, so typically in the past I would come up for several weeks like most of the guys, play a lot of events. This year, the only thing I'm capable of doing is I got here today, I'm going to play the main event and start on day 3. So not a lot of poker for me this year.
All right, so you've had a ton of success in the online world. You've also had some live success. I think you got a bracelet here from the Tunica World Poker Open in 2006. Or was it 5? Or
5.
Okay, 5. So what's your strategy coming into the main event tomorrow? We got 20,000 in starting chips, you know, a decent blind structure. What's going to be your strategy for day 1?
You know, I think a lot of players try to outthink themselves. It's more or less trying to adapt to your table. If the table's playing real tight, obviously anytime I play a big live event, a high buy-in event, a $10,000 buy-in event, I almost have a rule that I'm not going to go broke with one pair unless it's aces before the flop. Pretty much I'm waiting for that spot where I can get in with the nuts at least one time to double up, and that way if I double up, I can have cushion to play more hands and have a little bit more maneuverability later in the tournament where I can try and outplay people, take advantage of situations like when you get down to the bubble at the end, all of the different dynamics that a tournament presents.
Now let's suppose you get off to a pretty good start, you double or triple up, maybe halfway through the day you're up to 30,000 or so, 20,000, or sorry, 40 or 50,000 or something. Are you going to open your game up a little bit and start picking on the shorter stacks?
I'll probably go get something to eat, go back to the room and go to sleep. Although I know some people that may do that. Yeah, it'll depend. If I can identify the passive players at the table, then I'll do what most good, strong players should do, and that's the guys I'm going to pick on. And conversely, if it's a very skilled opponent that I recognize or I can tell he's playing one hand every hour, I'm not going to play hands out of position against him. I'm going to try and pick my spots, and I'm going to also, you know, I'm going to keep the guy in the lead. That's the table bully when I have a big hand. I'm going to just try and let the table bring the action to me and try and adapt to what's happening at the table.
Well, that sounds like a great strategy. Wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, John.
Chris, good luck to you tomorrow.
All right, thanks.
All right, everybody. I'm here with Jared Hamby, the Waco kid. As you guys know, Jared was my first guest here on Stacking Chips back in early June 1st. So I told the world that I predicted Jared as one of the 4 online guys to absolutely destroy the World Series this year. Let's ask Jared and see how it's going for him so far.
In one word, bad. It's, you know, pretty much the worst possible things that could happen have been happening. You know, I can't really complain with as hot as I was going into the World Series. It's kind of expected. In this game, you know, the bad side of variance is kind of rearing its ugly head, so to speak. But it's okay. I'm playing well. In the majority of tournaments, I've got my money in really good. It seems like every time someone makes a play at me with like a draw, or it's been getting there, and I haven't won any key races, you know, and I won a lot of key races in the last couple months. So, you know, like I said, it's pretty much the worst possible stuff has been happening, but I'll live, you know.
So leading up to the World Series, you cashed for about 1.1 million or so, plus or minus 50K, and obviously you're having a phenomenal year. You're number 2 right now in the Player of the Year rankings on Card Player, and but you've also had a bad run. Like, has that affected your confidence level at all? Are you still playing your A game? Are you still just taking charge of the table, or do you feel like you're playing maybe a little more passively now that you're not running quite as well as you were for the last month as you had earlier in this year?
I don't think I've really let it affect my play at all. Really, I think I've stayed aggressive. You know, it may have been a couple times where I was maybe semi-tilting a little bit, but the times I did get my money in when I thought maybe I shouldn't, I ended up being in the races and just lost them. So I wouldn't say my confidence level is still, you know, at an all-time high right now. I'm definitely ready to play the main event. like I said, it's kind of how this game goes. When you've been so hot, I kind of expected it to happen, and it's happening. Now I just got to learn how to deal with it and to move on.
So what's your strategy for the main event?
I'm going to sit back and actually play pretty tight the first 3 or 4 levels. I know a lot of people like to really mix it up early, but when I can, I'll limp in some pots and stuff like that. But I'm gonna, for the most part, I'm gonna try to establish a pretty tight image at my table, and then when things get a little more serious later in the day, I'll try to change gears and start, putting the pressure on when the antes kick in. But for the first few levels, I'm just gonna sit back and play the premium hands and see what happens.
Now you've been you've had a pretty big following right now in the online world. You've got, a big fan base, so to speak. A lot of people know who you are in the online world. But in the live scene, you were relatively unknown until recently. When you came out, you had back-to-back wins at Bellagio. You had a big cash main event. Whatever. You won a lot of money since then. Have you found that playing live now that people recognize you know who you are? Do you feel that there's a target on your head at all? And does that work to your advantage, or does that?
No, I think. Well, actually, it definitely works to my advantage. It just hasn't been working to my advantage. Like I said, people have been making plays at me that I think maybe might have a little something to do with the fact that I've won so much money lately. They think I'm making a play at them when I have a set. I just check raised in a 4-way pot, and this guy's 4-betting all in with a flush draw because he's like, oh, this guy is a maniac because I won so much money so fast. Actually, it's helping me get really good action at the World Series. Things just aren't working out for me, so I definitely think it's to my advantage with people knowing who I am now. If they haven't played with me before, it seems like they just assume that I'm a maniac. People that know my game know that I'm not, but people that just randomly play with me think I'm. So I'm getting sick action. It's just not holy.
All right, well, best of luck in the World Series.
Thanks, John.
You and I traded some action this year, so I got a vested interest in have you doing well, buddy.
I'll try to come through.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
So I'm here with the 3rd-ranked online player in the world. He plays in the online name Atomos, and I can't even pronounce his name, so I'm going to have him say his name.
Yevgeny Timoshenko.
So I'm just going to call you Atomos to simplify things, but we online players, we always go by our screen names anyway. So you're out here for the World Series, but you're only 19 years old. So you're not going to be able to play in it this year, but you're still out here partying with the guys, hanging out, playing online. What's been your experience so far out here?
Oh, I'm having a blast. It's definitely worth it. Even though every time we go to the Rio, I get jealous of all these people we can, play in the events. I'm still having a great time. Vegas is a blast. There's so much to do. And then, in the morning, I just play the tournaments, and then at night I go out and have fun.
Cool. So you're 19, so you can't play here in Vegas yet, but you can still play overseas in Europe and Australia and whatnot. Have you had any chances to head out there at all for any tournaments?
Yeah, I'm actually following this. I'm going to try to make all of the major European tournament circuit events. I've already, had my, wet my feet in the other ones, and it's I'm loving it. I really want to. I think I'm going to focus more on live now, more than online, because that's where the money is, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this guy is one of the faces that the live players haven't seen too much here in the U.S., but I know in a couple of years when you're 21, you're going to be tearing it up. I mean, your performance in the online tournaments is tremendous. It's amazing. How long have you been playing online?
Well, I started underage probably when I was 16, but I only started playing for real money 17, I think.
So you've been playing 2 years, and you're already the 3rd-ranked online player in the world, and there's a lot of really good guys out there. So
yeah, definitely.
That's a huge accomplishment. Well, thanks a lot, man.
All right,
Appreciate you coming on here, and enjoy yourself out here. Best of luck in the European Tour this year, and we'll look forward to seeing you back here for the World Series in 09.
All right,
buddy. Thanks. We got Ari Engel back here now, plays on the online name Bodog Ari. He's been one of the most successful online players in the last few years. He's won dozens of tournaments, and he's always a threat to win any of the tournaments he plays in. Ari, how's the World Series going for you so far?
World Series has been great. I'm 0 for 3.
So you've only played in 3 events?
Yeah, I've just been lazy. I've been in Vegas the entire time, but been playing in it.
But when do you start the main event?
I haven't registered yet, but I'm planning on starting Monday.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, a lot of players, I would say the general consensus of players, they say that on day one they like to play really tight. Don't go broke with one pair pre-flop unless it's aces. And you hear a lot of people saying they're just going to sit back and wait. from my experience playing with you, you like to play a lot of hands. You like to be the aggressor and take charge of the table right away. What's going to be your strategy in the main event this year?
Well, I have played in the last 2 main events. The first year, I didn't know anything about tournaments, so we'll forget about that. The second year, last year, I decided exactly like you're saying. Everyone decides they're coming to the main event and they want to play tight. So my general strategy is always like, normal poker is play the opposite of your table. So I decided I'm going to play the opposite of my table and I'll play real loose because they're all playing tight. Or so I figured, I'll start bluffing up my chips, bluffing up a little more, bluffing up more. Then I finally decided to bluff the rest off and the guy has borrowed card. So I lasted about 2.5 hours last year.
Okay, so what about this year?
So this
what
year,
are you going to do differently this year?
I think I might, and like since then, and just in general, like when there's no antes, they say Stu Unger never played a hand till the antes came in. So, I mean, there's nothing to steal when it's early. On the one hand, like, I want to play tight because there's nothing to be gained. But on the other hand, like, you want to get the chips from the bad players before they get knocked out. So I would like to play in pots with them and stuff. So I have no idea how I'm going to play. I'm just going to, like always, I have no plans. I'm going to sit down at the table and I'm just going to play my hands. And each hand, I'm just going to try and maximize whatever I can do,
Okay, so let me ask you this question. I haven't asked anybody this yet, but it's one of those questions you see in the forums a lot, right? You look down, you have pocket aces, it's, third hand of the tournament, and one guy just open shoves for 20K, another guy calls 20K, and you look down at 2 aces.
You could have all 10 people calling and I'll still call.
Still calling,
Yeah.
All right, that answers that question. So, I mean, obviously you're going in as a favorite.
I mean, if I have like Queen 10 of diamonds and the flop comes King Jack of diamonds and the guy pushes, I'll probably call. You know what I mean? I'm happy to gamble in the beginning, but I don't plan on being cracked. I don't plan on getting my one pair. It's not a good hand. We're very deep, so it's like different to online because we're so deep. Kind of unique experience in that sense. I played 25K, survived the early levels and stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't know how to play deep stack at all. So I just like play by ear and hopefully I do okay. Like it usually works out. And players are so bad live that.
They really, especially in the main event.
I was just talking to someone, he's like, yeah, I beat the 200 rebuy. I'm like, okay, you're all set. Any tournament you ever play live for the rest of your life, you're all good. Like, most live tournaments, I mean, there are obviously top pros. I'm not saying, tell me if I'm not saying I can beat anyone good, but it just happens to be the majority of players are not good at play live.
And the players, those players actually tend to knock out so many of the big names, so the beautiful thing about this kind of tournament is, you get deep in the tournament, and a lot of the big name pros, the tougher players, are already knocked out from the bad beats that they took from all these weak players. So.
Yeah, exactly. You hope someone that can't spell poker knocks
All right, well, Ari, thanks for talking to us.
Appreciate
Best
it.
of luck on Monday. Good luck on Monday, buddy.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's special episode of Stacking Chips. We had a good time here at the Hooters Casino for the Pocket5s.com World Series party. And it was a great time, but it's getting kind of late here, and they're starting to kick us out, so they're sort of hustling us out of here. But it was good to talk to Adam and Cal, who started Pocket Fives. I personally have been a long-time member of the site, love the site, great content, enjoy watching the rankings, etc. And, of course, it was nice to talk to some of the big names in online poker, and hopefully they and myself will all do well in the main event this year. So that's really it, but I got a question for you guys. We've been trying to figure out all night what these things are here. They're like these orange canisters with the wire hanging out. And if you look across the room here, they're sticking off the wall in all of these little wooden panel sections. And we don't know what they are. So if any of you guys can figure what they are, let us know. Send an email here to stackingchips@cardplayer.com. But more seriously, so that's really it. We're going to end the show now, and thanks again for tuning in. Make sure to tune in for the rest of the World Series here for more player interviews, discussions, and more right here on Stacking Chips. And, of course, keep those emails coming in about these things and strategy questions. Whatever feedback you'd like to give, we appreciate it. Stackingchips@cardplayer.com. From John Poker Chip Friedberg, that's all. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck, and have a good night. Turn that camera off.